fascination with Terra Preta, or Black Earth, permeates various platforms, including here on YouTube, where enthusiasts attempt to recreate this unique soil, often seemingly equated with biochar. Yet, explanations of what Terra Preta truly is not often covered from what I have found, so I ventured down the rabbit hole that I know others have traversed before me to try and demystify this subject, aiming to provide a comprehensive understanding of its composition, its soil enriching capabilities, and its potential to boost yields, reduce fertilizer dependency, and sequester carbon. It's crucial to acknowledge that the full extent of Terra Preta's capabilities remains an area of ongoing exploration and research. The information presented here is drawn significantly from the 2016 book titled Terra Preta, supplemented with some additional insights. Just Have a Thinks channel has a video that covers some different aspects of Terra Preta than I go into in here. A link to that will be below. The top 30 centimeters of 1 square meter of healthy soil can contain an estimated 1 trillion bacteria, 500 billion flagellates, 100 billion rhizopods, 10 billion actinomycetes, 1 billion fungi, 1 million paramecia, 1 million nematodes, 50,000 furculae, 25,000 rotifers, 18,000 polychaetes, 300 polypods, 150 insects, 100 dipteran larvae, 100 beetles and larvae, 80 earthworms, and 50 of spiders, snails, and woodlice. At the heart of this thriving community lies humus, the decomposing organic material in the top few centimeters. Humus is made from life, by life, for life. Among the main players on the humus field contributing to the vitality of soil are the humble earthworms. It is a marvelous reflection that the whole of the superficial mold over any such expanse has passed, and will again pass, every few years through the bodies of worms. In an acre of healthy garden soil, up to 50,000 worms, collectively weighing as much as several cows, diligently process 70 times their weight in soil annually. The resulting worm castings boast nearly double the carbon, 5 times the nitrogen, and 10 times the phosphorus compared to regular soil. These castings also play a role in aerating the soil and creating pathways for plant roots. When research looked into the pace of erosion, it was found that the natural erosion rates in Africa were estimated to be about 2.5 centimeters over a span of 900 to 3,000 years. Today, due to modern practices, this same rate of erosion can occur in just a decade. In the mid-19th century, German chemist Justus von Liebig unlocked the secrets of NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and revolutionized agriculture. His discovery spurred the expansion of fields and the advent of monocultures, fueled by the escalating use of chemical fertilizers striving to meet the demand of a burgeoning global population. However, this agricultural paradigm faces a critical reckoning. The relentless reliance on chemical fertilizers has taken its toll, pushing the system to its biological limits, rendering it inherently unsustainable. Glyphosate contains additives like taloamines and aminomethylphosphoric acid, linked to disruptions in cellular and embryonic development. The authors of the book Terra Preta assert that this chemical cocktail adversely affects hormone systems in humans and animals, amplifying the risk of lymphatic cancers, kidney, and liver damage. The book also highlights a concerning 2011 study revealing glyphosate detection in participants' urine at levels exceeding drinking water limits by 5 to 20 times. This contamination extends even to individuals with no direct exposure to farming or herbicides, including those adhering to an organic diet. Recently, a class action in Australia against Monsanto and the use of glyphosate was initiated, involving 800 Australians. They alleged that exposure to Roundup caused their non-Hodgkin lymphoma, contending that Monsanto was aware of the carcinogenic nature of their product. The claim suggests deliberate distortion of the science around glyphosate and Roundup products. the defense stating, "We make no apology at all for concentrating on flaws of studies that are dangled in front of your honor." A potential cause for this prevalence of glyphosate contamination is the use of a process called desiccation, in which glyphosates play a pivotal role. The process involves spraying the crop with glyphosate, like Roundup, before harvesting. This accelerates the drying of the crop more uniformly and has the added effect of killing weeds before the next crop is sown. Perhaps the very biodiversity we want to preserve is not only due to thousands of years of natural evolution, but also the result of the human footprint on them. The authors of Terra Preta assert that beyond these immediate concerns lies a potential catastrophe, perhaps more severe than climate change itself: the global loss of biodiversity combined with the interference with natural nitrogen and phosphorus cycles, amplifying the collective risk. As we grapple with the consequences of extensive chemical fertilizer use and its environmental threats, it's evident that alternative, sustainable soil management practices are not just a choice, but a necessity. Having explored the challenges posed by chemical fertilizers, let's now delve into an intriguing discovery that reshaped our understanding of soil: Terra Preta. Tropical soils, often referred to as oxisol, pose unique challenges. They are heavily weathered, acidic, and lack essential nutrients and minerals. The rapid nutrient cycle in tropical systems results in a thin layer of humus, which, when not adequately maintained, depletes rapidly, as witnessed in the aftermath of rainforest clearance. Until the 1960s, the prevailing notion held that the soils of the Amazon rainforests were too impoverished to sustain advanced civilizations. However, the revelation of conclusive evidence pointing to large pre-Columbian civilizations prompted scientists to question how these societies thrived. This inquiry eventually led to the unearthing of Terra Preta do Indo, where some samples of fertile soil were found to be an astonishing 2,000 years old. Recent archaeological studies, especially in the last 2 decades, show that indigenous populations in the past were more numerous, more complex, and had a greater impact on the largest and most biodiverse tropical forest in the world. Studies affirm that Terra Preta is not a natural occurrence, but a result of intentional human intervention. The pre-colonial inhabitants of South America, knowingly or unknowingly, significantly enriched the soil over centuries through practices like charcoal making and targeted waste deposition. In Amazonian soils, remnants of charcoal, ash, pottery shards, bones, human feces, and fish bones tell a story of deliberate soil enhancement. Reflecting on Terra Preta, a Permis forum post user named Luis Melo sheds light on the indigenous perspective. Terra Preta wasn't something they built as a product for a special purpose. It was part of their lifestyle. Natives tend to think of themselves as just another player in the forest game, not the main ones. They don't accumulate, everything has a purpose. They find a place to make their homes, they clear the jungle, build houses with that material. There's a fire going on all the time for cooking, smoking, rituals, and every utensil is made for a reason. They don't keep a shelf full of different bowls. If something has finished its purpose, it is discarded, but they do it in a way that cycles it back. They stay in a place for 2 to 4 years, take everything down, and move to another location. They would use an area, grow crops, hunt, make war, breed, and after a while they move. And while taking it all down, they break the pottery and spread it around, burn the houses and fences down, leave the bones and scraps there, mulch it, and let nature do its thing. Terra Preta wasn't necessarily a crafted product, but an integral part of their lifestyle, a cycle of building, using, and returning nature. However, a caveat to this observation from the Permis post emerges when modern materials like plastics disrupt this cycle, as everything they used would have been made of natural materials. With the absence of livestock, the people of the Amazon instead made use of their own digestive tracts to source fertilizer. Charcoal likely played a crucial role in preventing diseases. The use of clay pots as dry toilets, with charcoal sprinkled to reduce odor, might explain the presence of pottery shards. These vessels, sealed with lids for airtight closure, would have been suitable for a variety of fermentations. Also recognizing the benefits of separating urine from feces, they understood that diluted urine, rich in nitrogen and potassium, should be kept apart from bacterial feces. While urine remains valuable in many nature-centric communities, handling human feces is challenging due to disease transmission. Charcoal covering prevents decomposition, regulates moisture, and fosters lactic acid fermentation. Lactobacillus in human feces aids this process, flourishing in the porous surface of charcoal, keeping harmful bacteria in check. Through this airtight fermentation, human feces transform it into a precious raw material. An alternative scenario may have been when these clay poop vessels finished their fermentation, they may have become a medium for planting seedlings. Over time, the roots of these seedlings could have shattered the clay walls, offering a plausible explanation for pottery shards found in deeper soils. Black earth soils, commonly known as Chernozem, characterize regions along the Eurasian steppes, including Ukraine and southern Russia, the lowlands of Germany, and some parts of North American prairies. These soils, rich in chalky, granular compositions such as loess, owe their unique properties to a combination of factors. The irregular occurrence of prairie fires, often intentionally started by local populations, played a pivotal role in shaping Chernozem. Fueled by these fires, large quantities of charcoal were produced. In the cold and dry seasons of these regions, decomposition was slow and accumulative. The synergy of these conditions resulted in the transformation of the topsoil into a deep black hue. Burrowing activities of local soil fauna further facilitated the transfer of carbon material and rich humus deep below the surface, contributing to the development of exceptionally fertile soil. It's important to note that Terra Preta, while sharing similarities, is distinct as it is anthropogenic, crafted by human intervention rather than naturally occurring. Beyond Chernozem, diverse cultures worldwide recognize the benefits of creating humus through charcoal. Traditional agricultural practices in China, Japan, India, and Korea all embraced the use of charcoal. These ancient techniques reflected a shared understanding of the positive impact of charcoal on soil fertility, contributing to the sustainable cultivation practices of these societies. Pre-colonial farming in South America was marked by distinctive features that set it apart from European practices. Two key factors played crucial roles in shaping this difference. Firstly, the thin humus layer rendered the soils marginal for farming. Secondly, the absence of domesticable animals contributed to a unique agricultural landscape. The Aztecs showcased innovative agricultural practices with the creation of the floating gardens. Constructed by covering reed rafts with lake-bottom mud and enriching them with animal and human excrement, these rafts evolved into islands anchored by willow roots. Similar to Terra Preta, these Aztec soils supported one of the most fertile water garden cultures globally, exemplifying the adaptability and ingenuity of pre-colonial agricultural techniques. The collapse of civilizations often finds its roots in environmental mismanagement. Ancient Greece, the Roman Empire, and the Mayas share a common thread: the relentless exploitation of hillsides and slopes to expand arable land for timber and agriculture. Dependence on imported crops became a harbinger of decline. The Mayas, in particular, saw their high-production farming sustain a population of up to 20 million people. However, deforestation took its toll, and a 30-year drought led to a devastating population decline, with only 10% surviving. Modern Europe grapples with a similar challenge, relying heavily on imported food and animal fodder to sustain its population. Distinguishing itself from conventional charcoal, biochar is produced through pyrolysis at temperatures between 400 and 750 degrees Celsius. This process yields an exceptionally porous product with a surface area exceeding 300 square meters per gram. Biochar acts as a sponge, absorbing up to 5 times its weight in water or soluble nutrients, providing plants with crucial resources when needed. The benefits of biochar are multifaceted: enhanced nutrient management, increased soil water retention, improved habitat for soil bacteria and mycorrhiza, neutralization of toxins and pollutants, better soil aeration, and a reduction in soil-related methane and nitrous oxide emissions. However, the quality of biochar varies based on the biomass used. Contamination during production can introduce toxins. Inspired by Terra Preta, biochar represents a technology akin to photovoltaics in the 1970s, a promising avenue for sustainable agriculture that requires further research and practical experimentation to unlock its full potential. As a technology, biochar is about where photovoltaics were in the 1970s. In the 70s, we all said photovoltaics will save the day, and then it took 40 years until anything happened. Applying charcoal to soil might sound relatively simple, and indeed, it's one of the few mitigation measures that can be started right now. But more research and practical experimentation are needed to determine where and how it can have the greatest effect. According to the book Terra Preta, if German farmers who collectively cultivate approximately 12 million hectares were to recycle organic and agricultural waste, adding carbonized and composted materials to their soils, the country could boost its humus content by about 4% over 20 years. This could lead to the permanent storage of up to 5 billion tons of CO2 in the soil, equivalent to 5 times the total annual emissions. While increasing soil organic matter alone can't save the planet, it is a substantial step toward rebalancing the global carbon equation. A growth of 0.1% in humus content per hectare per year could allow the absorption of 10 tons of CO2 per hectare. Sustaining this growth for 15 to 30 years could potentially cut Canada's CO2 emissions by more than half. On a global scale, this approach might address 40% of total greenhouse gas emissions. Biochar plays a role in this by impacting the cation exchange capacity of soil. Its electrostatic surface charges attract and retain positive ions, cations, making them available for plants and microorganisms. This not only prevents leaching of minerals and nutrients, but also ensures their availability while binding toxins. With very few exceptions among the people of Europe, there is a curious and highly detrimental prejudice which prevails against the use of human excrement as fertilizer. If it were carefully stored, mixed with vegetable matter, and applied to fields at just the right moment of fermentation, all other fertilizers would be rendered unnecessary. In various ancient cultures, including China, Japan, and Korea, the understanding of the value of human excrement as a potential fertilizer existed. Even the Roman god Saturn was associated with teaching people how to fertilize fields with feces. During the 19th century, disputes arose regarding the responsibility of cities to produce fertilizer for agriculture. Ultimately, the mineral fertilizer industry prevailed. The late 19th century saw the establishment of central drinking water supplies, addressing epidemic problems but introducing new challenges related to wastewater. Water closets led to capital-intensive waterborne sewage systems and large-scale treatment plants. Modern treatment plants demand substantial energy to extract nitrogen, carbon, and phosphorus from wastewater. The resulting sludge, often contaminated, undergoes costly drying and incineration. Despite these efforts, 95% of purified water ends up in the sea, carrying contaminants and pharmaceuticals. Human waste, a valuable source of nutrients, is underutilized. A person excretes nutrients that could fertilize 100 to 1,000 square meters of soil annually, but instead they are diluted with drinking water and flushed. For every liter of human waste in sewage systems, an additional 80 to 100 liters of drinking water dilute it. This inefficient disposal contaminates our most valuable resource, drinking water. Human feces may not be necessary for creating Terra Preta, but understanding its potential impact highlights the need for more sustainable waste management practices. To conclude this video, our exploration of Terra Preta unveils a fascinating tapestry of ancient wisdom and sustainable practices, from potentially intentional soil enrichment by pre-colonial Amazonian civilizations to the transformative power of biochar in modern agriculture. The story of Terra Preta is a testament to humanity's deep connection with the land, reflecting on the challenges of chemical fertilizers, environmental mismanagement, and the potential of regenerative soil practices. Terra Preta has evolved into both a symbol of hope and a beacon of innovation, shifting from the challenges of conventional agriculture to the wisdom embedded in Terra Preta. requires reevaluating our relationship with the soil, embracing practices that harmonize with nature rather than exploit it. Whether it's the thriving microbial life in healthy soil or the role biochar plays in mitigating climate change, the solutions are rooted in understanding and respecting the intricate balance of our ecosystems. Terra Preta is proof that we can be custodians of the earth, stewards of the land, and architects of a regenerative legacy. Thank you for joining me on this fascinating journey. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Terra Preta or any sustainable practices you're passionate about. Until next time.